This is going to be a tutorial for an intermediate cloud fight. All of the strats in this video, I believe, are very doable with practice. No crazy stuff like jumping through the air with the cloud, trying to save as much time as possible, like you would for a 54-second fight. All of these strats can definitely be done with practice, and you have to become familiar with how Mario moves in the cloud, how the physics are with that. You need to be familiar and get experience with the audio cues that I use. But definitely the strats on here can all be learned and repeated in a run. But sometimes things still go bad in a cloud fight, and if you think you get really good at this and you mess it up in a run, hey, welcome to the club. Everyone does it. Also, shout outs to Dots Are Cool for making the amazing practice cart that we have and making all of this possible. I know for certain I never would have gotten near the time that I got in 11 Exit if it wasn't for him and this practice cart. He's the one that's made everything possible for almost all of us in the community. Okay, so we're gonna watch the video once, pardon me, and then I'll break it down and we'll go over everything step by step. Okay, so a couple of basic things to go over before we get started. Whenever I'm in the cloud and I'm trying to hit the Mecha Koopa when Bowser throws them out, always assume that I'm holding Y. You can hold X as well, but I'm holding Y. I think that increases the hitbox at the bottom of Mario's feet. I'm not sure, but it helps you get the instant hit or even the slower hit without kicking the Mecha Koopa to way off to the side, sometimes even off screen. So always hold that whenever you're going down for the instant hit. Otherwise, I think I can explain the buttons that I'm pushing while I'm doing the different tricks. So let's start out here. So we get the cloud. Doesn't matter how you get the cloud, just get the cloud. And we're going to try to stop Bowser somewhere here in the middle between this tile and this tile. That was a little later than I wanted to do it, but that will still work. You can stop him, obviously, almost from instantly all the way over here, but if you stop him in this area, you can hit the Mecha Koopa, but it's really hard to get back over here without getting hit and without losing time because it takes so long to get back over here. Bowser's going to move back over in the other direction. He's going to go up and go back down. So I stop him in this area to do the first hit. I'm holding Y while I get the first hit. Go back up. And to throw the cloud off screen, whether it's trying to get him to throw Koopas out or do the flame skip, always assume that I'm holding up and left, and you just tap Y and regrab it. That's all. That's it. It's that easy. So I went back to the left and I threw the cloud off screen to trigger the next skip. Got the Mecha Koopa. Now, when you're not doing fast phase 1, sometimes this guy likes to fall down and you have to change your strats. But what you want to do after you get the first hit is go over this pillar somewhere in this area, even with this anyways, even with this. And then as soon as he goes down, you're going to go back up and do the flame skip. And when you do the flame skip, you're only going to have just a couple of pixels here of Mario's chest visible. At least I do on my TV. Some TVs that have more pixels showing up at the top, it's going to be a little bit different. Your visual cue is going to be different. You'll just have to get that with experience and practice to see exactly where that is. But mine only shows just a little bit, maybe right here, maybe not even to his chin, maybe just barely to his chin with the first flame skip. And then you throw the cloud off. As soon as you throw the cloud off and you land back, you hold down and jump out and get that mecha koopa and kick him around a little bit. And then this is our first audio cue, I believe, with these strats. The crescendo is going to build up. As soon as the crescendo goes down, you're going to do the animation skip. And you can do it a little bit faster in phase 2 than I did because Bowser will move. In phase 2, you can do it just a tiny bit before the crescendo, and you can get him to instantly stop. I didn't do that here, though. And then I go up near the top of the screen, about right there. You can still see all of Mario's head. And I go right over this area right here. Okay? And he's going to drop the ball as soon as the ball hits the ground. As soon as it hits the ground, you're going to jump simultaneously, or maybe even just a fraction of a second after that. You're going to jump, hold up and right, release, throw the Mecha Koopa out. He's going to hit Bowser, and as soon as you throw it out, you're going to hold left and go back, and then you're going to do your next animation skip, or your trigger skip, whatever. You're going to trigger Bowser to throw again. You can also, pardon me, as soon as he's done waving his hands, you can do another skip. You can go a little bit early if you want to stop him instantly. You can stop him sooner than I did in this tutorial. You can get him to instantly stop. You're going to go back over. Now, for the second flame skip, Mario, for me, seems like he needs to be just a little bit further down. Not this far down, but maybe a few more pixels than what he was before. So maybe before I could just see his chin. Now maybe I can see a little bit of Mario's mustache, okay, because he's further down on the screen for the next flame skip. That's just on my TV too, not on what you saw here, because you can see more pixels on here than I can see on my TV. Okay, so we got the Mecha Koopa. Same thing, hold down, jump out, get the Mecha Koopa, kick him once or twice, get in the cloud and go back up. We're going to come over, and you want to come almost straight at him with your cloud, just like if there's an imaginary line right here and it goes across, you want to be just like right above it, just barely above it or even with it, okay? I could be a little bit lower here and I would still be okay. You can get an insta hit here. I didn't in this video. You can get an insta hit. You jump over, which you'll see, and then you throw the Mecha Koopa you're holding up after you get the first hit. So my fight lost about 3/10 of a second or so there because I didn't get the insta hit, or maybe it's half a second. I can't remember. It's been too long, but it's somewhere around there. And that pretty much wraps up the fight. Do whatever you want with the cloud. And our time is 56:87. The top timer, if you're not familiar with the practice card, is just from the first room of Dark Room that I skipped. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments or ask me on Twitter. That should be, I think, all you need to at least get started. You can do more advanced stuff as you feel more comfortable, but you know, learning the cloud fight is a pretty slow process. Don't expect to start whipping out amazing times just as soon as you know, start using the practice card. You know, you're not gonna get it the first day, probably the second day, probably the third day. It took me probably at least 1 to 2 months before I felt comfortable with doing a good cloud fight about this speed. And then to do the faster one, it took me even longer, probably 3 months or so, because the timing is so tight when you're trying to go really fast. But with these strats, you should be able to get a good fight. I'm talking to you, Brams. This is a quick edit. I forgot to go over the audio cue for phase 3. Similar to phase 2, you want to wait for the crescendo to start going down before you jump, but it's even more important in phase 3 because if you jump even a hair bit too early in phase 3, Bowser is going to drop all the way down and cost a lot of time. Because in the cloud fight, every second is precious, every fraction of a second is precious. And when he goes down and you get your first hit there, if your second hit isn't back when he's up at the top, you're going to lose a lot of time. Like if you hit him low again, he's going to go take his time going all the way back up to the top here. especially with the strat I'm showing, it will really mess things up because the timing will be off with this guy. So you're going to hear the crescendo here in just a minute. You have to wait until it goes down. You have to. You have to make yourself wait until just when it starts to go down, and then jump and do the trigger skip. Because, like I said, if you go too early, really bad things are going to happen. You need to wait, even if it costs you, a quarter of a second. You really need to do that until you feel comfortable. I've been doing Cloud Fight for a long time now, and even back when I was doing it every day, I still phase 3. I still would lose time more often than not without getting the instant stop because it's just tough. It's the toughest audio cue for me. If you have a good visual cue, use it, but I don't have one. That's it. Everything else is the same.